This is Fantology.
You may have heard of us.
All right, what's up, Death Watch Guide? This is Steven with another Fantology episode. I'm your host, and as always, when we review Wheel of Time, I have Jake, our resident Wheel of Time expert, and Kaden, our resident Wheel of Time newbie. And we've been doing this now this will be the 11th review. The team has really come together, right, guys? So excited for another installment.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me again.
We couldn't do it without we need your first time perspective, Kaden. And obviously we need Jake's expertise, because I think anyone who follows Fantology closely knows that, I don't know, sometimes I can be a little bit of a Wheel of Time poser. Like, I like this series, but do I remember everything about it? No, I don't. But I do love it.
I think you mistake my passion for expertise.
Jake, how many times have you read the whole series?
It depends on the book. Like, I would do that thing where once I found the new one, I'd read it. But I think the most is I probably read the first three like 15 or 20 times, but then the last, I think I've only read Memory of Light like 3 times.
Just 3?
You still qualify as an expert.
And I think I read it once and listened to it twice. I don't think I've actually read it more than once.
Yeah, man, you really don't know your Wheel of Time, clearly. really slacking.
Well, I'm excited to do Knife of Dreams because post Slog, there's debate about how long the Slog lasts, which books it, contains, but definitively book 11 is no Slog, right?
You can actually measure how much Slog there are in the books based on how often we release a podcast about Wheel of Time, like the time between books, like episodes we do. Because
yeah, that's fair.
This one's coming way faster after book 10, where like books like 6 through 8, there was a larger time between them. So definitely not a book in the Slog. Really good.
I mean, there is another variable in there, which is how many books Kaden is reading at the same time. Dresden Files really kind of slowed us down for a bit there.
That's true. That is very true.
All right, so Knife of Dreams, Robert Jordan's last book before he passed. And Jake will fight you if you say that Sanderson rescued the series. As we've heard many times, we stand by Jake's view. Or I guess maybe this is a question for Kaden as first-time reader. Like, you've heard Jake say this a few times. Like, do you believe that the series was kickstarted again with 11?
Robert Jordan went out with a bang.
Nice.
Okay.
So 11 is back to the same level as I think I said like previously, I didn't really like book 6 as much. Like, there was the big ending, right? And then you kind of went through the Slog, and they were good, but weren't as good. Like, this is back, like my level of like wanting to continue reading is back where it was in book 5 now. Like, I think it was exciting. I'm actually kind of sad. Like I feel like Robert Jordan, like the hype for Carmen Guyton after this book was so big now. Like, it was such a big setup book. I'm kind of sad Robert Jordan didn't get to finish it off himself, because I was well done.
He did. Is this true, Jake? Did he write the entirety of the last battle sequence, or like a lot of it?
No, I think the last chapter of A Memory of Light was already written, but not the battle. No.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
There are a couple scenes. There are a couple scenes I think that he had written, but I think it's either the last chapter or the epilogue or something of the last book was pretty much already written, and it's like kind of an insert into it.
It sounds like it was well outlined out though by him, as far as like what events would happen.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. I feel like after the meandering and the plot developments and all the kind of build of those previous, like the most recent previous books, finally you're like, oh wait, yeah, the last battle is supposed to be right around the corner. You kind of hit that home. For a couple of books it was like, is it is this really going to happen?
Well, I'm actually like, I'm at least a third of the way through book 12, which I can't remember the name of right now.
The Gathering
Storm.
Yeah, and like I'm a little bit in that where I'm honestly like, hey, it's moving a little slow. Like, let's get to some action here. Like, I'm ready for the battle, and I know there's still 2 more books before I get there. Well, I assume.
Brandon's letting you down.
A little bit. No,
Back to the
it's still really
slog.
good.
I'm just kidding.
It is still really good. I am enjoying it, but I would like it to pick up a little bit. But I think that's all. Epic fantasy. You have to have the build up in the book. You get to the climax, right? Like,
Right.
there's still a lot happening, but it's definitely following that pattern.
You know that when Robert Jordan passed, like the plan handed to Sanderson, or like the assumed plan at the time, was for one more book called The Memory of Light, and they decided. There's probably plenty of details on the internet about this. I don't know them offhand, but they decided to make it 3 books. Like Brandon and Harriet together, I'm assuming, made that decision.
They didn't want to release a 3,000-page book all in one go.
Apparently not possible.
I feel like that was kind of. I feel like Robert Jordan would have done the same. If I remember right, he was always the type of person. I think he first pitched The Wheel of Time as a trilogy or a 4-book set, and I don't think when he said there's 1 book left, I don't think it really would have been one, regardless of who finished it.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jake.
Yeah.
The guy who wrote 11 super long fantasy books is probably not the one you want to trust to say, oh, there's only 1 more.
Yeah. Anyways, Knife of Dreams, though.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I've been a hater on some books in the past. I feel like a little bit, but I don't really have. I think the thing that stood out to me the most was I loved like all like the each scene where it's like Tarmangaden's coming, and you get to see each person kind of realize like, hey, battle's near. I honestly like low-key moment that I really liked was Land's moment with Nynaeve, and he's gonna ride for the Blight, right? And I was like, dang, this is cool. Tarmangaden's happening. It was a hype moment for me, which probably isn't for a lot of people, but I was excited.
Well, it's kind of like, it kind of resembles what the reader's going through as well. You're like, oh, dang, like it's coming. And then they take Land like way over here. It's like, it's coming, but not yet. You got to go a little bit further.
I think that's like a fan favorite scene, actually.
Okay.
I think you're good company. People love the Nynaeve dropping him off, further than he intended, and then skipping ahead and getting people to swear to him.
Yeah. So I'm reading it and I'm like, I swear, Land, I'm with you. I'm going. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really cool part.
And
then, I mean, in general, like all of the unraveling of the pattern and things around the world are just getting really wonky for most points of view. I think this happens in every big point of view. There's like this real big bubble of evil or something real crazy happens. So that also just kind of picks up the pace. Honestly, I feel like after reading this book, you might be thinking, okay, the last battle is coming. Here it is. And then you realize, oh, there's 3 more. So maybe there's some confusion there. But also there's enough unresolved plot lines where you do kind of need thousands more pages to do it proper justice.
My one critique is that I don't know how much critique it is, but I'm so happy Perrin has rescued Faile finally. Like, I'm glad that storyline is wrapped up, and it's not one of my favorites. That's probably not one of the high points in the book for me. I feel like the other storylines were more exciting.
Yeah, the rescue Faile plotline is one of the worst plot lines in the series, along with the Bull of Winds plotline.
Bull of Winds. Yep.
I've really enjoyed reading the Bull of Winds part. I think the overall
still don't understand that.
The point of it is a little, not as relevant, but no.
There are some interesting outcomes to the rescue Faile plotline. It just goes on for so long, and but by the time you get there, like there's some interesting moral dilemmas and some really interesting growth. Maybe we can probably start there by talking, like we're going to talk through the different character points of views. So let's start with Perrin and the Shanchan. So he meets up with Shanchan. That happens. That's teased right at the end of Crossroads of Twilight. And then he makes the bargain with them. And then from there, they come up with the Fork Group plan. And then everything just kind of falls apart. Works out in the end with some degree of tragedy as well, right?
I think there's been so much foreshadowing around Aram, trying to kill him. Like for the last basically since Aram picked up a sword and left the Tinkers, right? You just like every time he's in a scene, it's like, oh, shouldn't have given him a sword. Bad things are going to happen. And so you're like, oh, finally something happens. You see kind of like where that foreshadowing was leading. But interesting how willing.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I want to hear about how willing.
Well, I was gonna say the other part of that is how willing Perrin was to like give up all the wise ones to the Sanchan. Like Egwene would not be happy, right? Like, and I was like going back to how much I hated Egwene being captured. Like, I feel bad as a reader. Like, come on, Perrin. Like, I know you needed to get Faile back, but like, not cool. But
both Perrin and Faile make some pretty cold-blooded moves here at the end, and then with what's his name, Roland.
mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, he had a sad.
He's the Aiel helper that Jake was trying to come up with his name before the podcast. Yeah, that's one that I look back on, which is, oh man, that hurts because he's such a good guy, and then but at the same time, like it's Perrin who's taking him down, but then Faile never. Well, she doesn't even tell him what happens, right?
I don't think he was such a good guy. He was like an okay guy, but I mean,
seems like a good guy to me.
He was like a decent guy. I wouldn't say he was like such a good guy.
I mean, he was like sexually abusing the guy Shine, basically. So
yeah, wasn't he? Yeah.
Oh, was he? Well, I guess we have to. Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
He didn't
Roland's canceled for that.
But with Roland, here's my part that I kind of like about Roland. I feel like war would be really chaotic. I've never fought in a war, but imagine it was very chaotic. And I imagine, you can't always know who's on your side. And so, like, honestly, I think it's kind of a realistic moment for Perrin. Like, if I was Perrin, I would have done the same thing, right? It's like hard to say like which Aiel's on your team. And if it had all worked out happy, like I feel like it adds a little bit of authenticity to like the chaos of war in the book, right? That's not just like super all works out nicely, right? So
yes,
that was one thing I liked about it.
That, along with Dumais Wells, both I think show that idea really well.
Yep.
I think you get some good like characterization of Faile as well, like her inner monologue of deciding not to tell Perrin about like him because she didn't want Perrin to feel bad over it, and he would. And then also like it was just kind of it was an accident, complicated situation. And doesn't she do like a little memorial thing for him, for herself or something afterwards?
I don't remember.
Maybe not.
I don't remember one. Maybe it's coming in the next book.
Maybe eventually.
Maybe. It was right at the end, right?
We'll cut that.
No. The listeners need to know that you made a mistake, Jake. There's no getting away from that.
You apparently need to read this book another 15 times.
I mean, Perrin doesn't get a ton of screen time. He gets a few chapters. Obviously, we finally get the resolution. He's got more coming, clearly. But it does feel like at this point, like, okay, finally we've moved on past this big long thing that was consuming him. So it's like, where's the next step for his character going to go? And I guess the last battle's coming. So that's, there's that. But yeah, I don't know. Any predictions, Kaden, for future Perrin? What you would like to see with him?
I would hope that his relationship, and I can't remember the general's name, but with the Sanchan comes into play later. I feel like that's not over yet, and I'm hoping that, like, I'm hoping his relationship with the Sanchan and Matt's with Tuon help get the Sanchan to fight in the last battle, right?
Right, like we have this big fight going on with the Sanchan, but at the same time, like the last battle is almost here. But the Sanchan are a really formidable enemy against the residents of Randland, who can't align themselves together even. So it's looking really bad. So like this is a grain of hope for getting everyone together.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's some foreshadowing with the interaction with the Sanchan. And that's all I'll say on that. But yeah, there's some good interactions there.
Okay, like the tease.
trying to tease anything out of Kaden if he had any theories, but
Yeah, he's not bad.
okay.
I mean, no, I'm sorry. I don't have more.
No, you're good. You're good.
Right.
One thing I thought was cool with the whole Perrin and Faile plotline is the when they're under that building that collapsed after being betrayed, and Faile gets more Morghese to channel a little bit. I feel like up to that point, I was under the impression that she just couldn't, like that wasn't possible. So I thought that was a cool, like, stretching for like as far as you can in that desperate situation.
Well, maybe this isn't in this book. Is there a resolution with Galena in this book, or is that
She's captured.
She's captured.
I honestly
Kind of like
don't remember.
carried away by the Shido.
Yeah,
As
I
they retreat.
love that at the end. Yeah,
Like
she
finally,
going to be Guy Shine under the oath rod out, and you're like, yes, thank you.
people are finally getting what they deserve after books of tormenting you with
Yes.
long-winded plot lines and annoying villains. Yeah.
Yep. So that was satisfying for sure.
Okay.
So getting a recap or like a resolution to the Perrin and Faile plotline, how many episodes do you think the TV show should spend on this?
2.
One? What?
I said 2. Like
2.
could be a
One where she
cliffhanger
goes
of
missing.
one. Yeah.
And yeah.
That's where I'd put it.
They should just put in like a really cheesy montage of Perrin like searching for her, just like total
Just trudging
fan
through the
service.
snow.
Yeah. And casual viewers would be like, what the heck is this? This doesn't fit with what the show's been doing. But book readers would be like, oh, okay, they understand this.
Yeah.
All right, should we go on to Matt?
Yeah, let's do it.
So Matt starts off by, Matt's probably got, does he have the most screen time in this book? He's probably has the most things happen to him, I think. The cannons, the firework cannons that he starts to make, that's cool. It's nice to see technology advancing with his dragons, right, is what he calls them. So we don't have real dragons, but we do have the Lord Dragon and dragon cannons. So, Wheel of Time has some dragons.
Dragoons. I thought that was so cool when I was first reading it, just like how you can piece together what he's planning. You're like, oh, these are cannons, but then of course they don't call them cannons, but you're like, I don't know, on the same page as them. That's pretty fun.
Same thing happens in one of the first law books. I don't know if you've read yet, Jake, but
I haven't read past Best Served Cold.
Next book, similar thing, type of thing happens. Yeah, it's fun to see technology advance, especially when you've been studying the world for so long. I think Sanderson does this really well in like throughout Mistborn, especially, and in Stormlight, of bringing the technology along. But he does it really like pretty fast at times. And so here we have like what seems like a reasonable technological advancement to be made around this time. And obviously we know, back in the Age of Legends, they had all this cool stuff. So it's cool to see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hinted in the Age of Legends that it's all like power based, the one power based, even though it like isn't all based on the one power, but that is like the mindset. And so it's cool to see these like side developments that are outside of that,
Yeah, I was gonna, as a reader, like I want to know more about the technology in the Age of Legends. So having anything that kind of touches on that more, I feel like the only time you get that is that Ruidian, or however you say that, right? Those flashbacks, really.
That is an acceptable pronunciation, I believe.
You got to read the Wheel of Time companion book once you're done with the series to glean as much of this lore and side information that you can get.
Sounds
it's
good.
not,
Will do.
It doesn't fully satiate you, but it's something.
I have it. You can borrow it. Don't worry.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I need a book. 16, 15?
16. You haven't read New Spring yet, have you?
I have not. Do I need to have?
I mean, it's good backstory. It's a fun prologue. You don't need to, I suppose, but if you're reading 14 books, might as well read one more, right?
And it's a
I'll
shorter
definitely
one.
read it. Just do I need to read it before the final
The
book?
show will probably have elements in it, or elements of it in it, but it's not going to be like a huge spoiler, I don't think.
I would say after you complete Gathering Storm, go back and read it. Might as well.
Cool.
I guess technically you should maybe read it after Crossroads of Twilight. Is that the publishing order?
I'm not sure. I think the best time to read it is right after book 5, just because of Moraine dying, and this book is focused on Moraine.
But hang on a sec.
Nice segue, huh?
But wait,
back during the book 6 or book 5 podcast, I was like, Moraine's not dead, and you guys have been lying to me for 6 podcasts here.
well, would you have liked us to say you're
No,
right
you're
for
right.
the next book?
It was good. No, thank you. But I was so pumped during that scene with Tom and Matt when you find out Moraine's still alive and she could be rescued potentially. So very
Kaden,
excited.
as any experienced reader of fantasy knows, such as yourself, anytime a character dies off screen and there's no body, they're not dead. Like,
They're not
give
dead.
me one example of a time where a character dies off screen, no body. It's like not 100% they're dead and they're actually dead. Has that ever happened in any book?
What about Asmodean?
Asmodean,
Well,
Lanfear.
Kind of on screen, kind of not.
Lanfear went through the doorway too, and she died.
well, not really though. I mean, she died, but
She died.
yeah, but not died. Just died.
But that's basically dead for any other series, right?
Okay, Asmodean. I'll give you Asmodean. That's
Okay.
Okay.
No, Lanfear counts. She did exactly the same thing as Moraine. And if Moraine had died as Lanfear died, she would be dead.
I mean,
It's
at
just
this
that-
point, Moraine's fate is still in the balance, Jake.
She's alive. She's gonna get rescued. Let's be honest here.
I'm not spoiling anything. It's as
I
far
mean,
as we know,
hopefully.
she's alive.
I know, hopefully, but I'm excited. I was really excited, regardless of what happens. I was sad. I thought it was gonna happen more in this book because I was like, so I don't know how soon, but I'm honestly just excited. Like the Elfin and the Aelfin, or however you say those two, because they sound the same.
Yeah.
The
I
snakes
feel like
and
they've been
foxes.
such a mystery the whole book as well. It's like kind of like
Yeah.
San Chan finally taking forever to get in, right? You've been like, hey, I want to see something. It's been hinted at like 6 books ago. Let's
That Tower of Genji was
yeah,
in book 1.
Yeah. Do you
right,
remember?
because
Do
they
you
pass
know?
it and they see it on
Yeah.
the boat, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't recognize it until later because Perrin goes to it in a dream, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
one of the
in
later
book 4.
books.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That does happen in the dream sequences.
Yeah.
But
When
I
you
didn't really pay
find
attention
Slayer
to it at
and-
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this book, Matt and Tom and
Nolan.
yeah, is it Nolan? Is that his name? No,
I know who you're talking about.
Nolan.
Nolan. Yeah, Nolan. Yep.
Okay, that's who you
Is it
said.
Nolan? Am I saying it wrong? I could be.
Well,
I
it just
could be
rhymes
remembering
with
it wrong.
Roland. I'm wondering if Roland and Nolan, like, is that really? Okay. Yeah, we know who it is. We know who we're talking about. We're looking.
This is
it
why I
up.
always
who it is.
deny the Will of Time expert dialogue.
It's a lot of characters. Sorry, listeners.
Will of Time.
Yeah, so the band of rescuers has formed, but no progress has yet been made, to Caden's dismay. But I mean, we'll see what happens, I suppose. I will say this is an exciting part. You are correct to look forward to this.
How do you think Tom's been feeling? He's probably been hanging out with Matt specifically for Matt to ask about the letter, right? Because he's not allowed to show him the letter until he asks about it. So do you think he's just like keeping it in his coat and hoping it like, oh no, it fell out of my pocket right around Matt,
Well, it sounds like he would pull it out and read it in front of Matt, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he was.
It makes it clear like he was the one like trying to get Matt to
Yeah.
say something, right? So he was totally doing that right and just waiting, like, come on, dude, let's
Yeah. Let's get
get
this
guess
going.
here.
Does that kind of show you how much Matt cares about other people sometimes? Like, feels like you should probably ask about a letter that someone's reading over and over again.
Maybe he thought it was
At
like
the same time,
an old love letter,
did he know it was from Moraine?
I can't remember
Because-
if he did or not.
I don't know if he did, but if he did, it makes sense to me why he wouldn't, because he like wants nothing to do with Aes Sedai, right? Like,
Yeah.
So I bet if he had
Hmm.
known, that would explain why
Okay.
he didn't. But I don't remember if he did or not, or if it was just some random letter. I don't remember how
Okay.
Tom gets the letter back in, or if Maureen gives it to him directly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She gives it to him in book 4, beginning of book 4.
Yeah.
Kaden, did you see Wheel of Time Twitter has been dropping a bunch of previews for the show. Did you see the one? I believe it was yesterday or maybe the day before. It's like mid-October right now at the time of recording, where they did a little bit. It's like a 30-second thing, some kind of behind the scenes stuff. And we did get our first like glimpse at Tom with his
No,
guitar.
I haven't seen that one. I've seen most of them, so I haven't seen any of the behind the scenes though.
Well, it was only like 30 seconds. By behind the scenes, I mean, it was kind of this like montage of Rafe and Rosamund Pike talking about the series while they had a bunch of different shots.
The shot of
Okay.
Tom was like a second long, if that.
Okay, I'll have to go back and rewatch it then, because I think I did watch it, but I don't think I caught it. So I'll have to.
He
go.
has like a scruffy beard. He doesn't really have a mustache. So
Yeah, no huge mustaches, but I'm okay with that. I think he looks really cool.
he looks
That's
cool,
more
but
hip nowadays.
he's gonna need a mustache at some point. Keep the beard if you want, but I want some stashes going down.
You're going to be disappointed if Elayne and him don't have a pulling on your mustache moment. Is that what you're saying?
I think that reveal part is pretty cool.
Sure.
But that's not what I'm saying.
You want nothing to do with Elayne?
No, that part is just it's kind of weird because she's flirting with him,
Yeah,
But-
yeah, it is weird for sure.
All right, so forward with Matt, the band of the Red Hand finally comes back together. And I really like this moment because, Matt's been courting Tuan and she's kind of, saying that he's not this worthless scoundrel a bit. And then the band shows up and they're like well-disciplined and like a decent looking group of soldiers. And now Tuan's like, wait a second, like this is kind of like the inverse of Matt realizing like, oh, like, okay, you're the empress to be. And now
Yeah.
Tuan's like, wait, you're actually like a pretty capable guy, pretty formidable guy. So I thought that was some nice, back and forth there. And, good on Matt. He deserves to impress a woman appropriately.
I like their whole, like, a lot of the book is them going back and forth, right? And him trying to court her and getting frustrated. And so then he starts giving presents to her, the maid that's not a maid. Can't remember. Like is it her bodyguard? Is that
Yeah. Is it Seleucia?
Alicia?
Yeah.
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 So I like Matt's wins. That's another one where like when Tuan leaves, it's like, dang, here's another open end with the Sanshan, right? Like you wanted them to stay together so that again they can fight the last battle together. And so
Bridges have been built. We're starting.
Yeah. The other part of me is like, why would at this point, not at this point, but she's heading back, right? She's gonna find out about what's going on in her empire, right? And you gotta think she's like, well, why am I conquering a new land when I don't even have my old land under control, right? Like, so I don't know if that I imagine that's gotta come into play here in the next book or two.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really good characterization of Matt and their relationship, showing him, have these impressive feats. I think Tuan's character is so like intriguing, how like she is impressed, but she still is she's so good with the politics of interacting with people that she's able to almost come out on top after being impressed by him and after being, like proven wrong. But by, when she leaves, repeating the marriage phrase, so then they're married, like somehow she still is able to leave on top, bamboozling Matt, which is kind of fun.
Agreed.
And similar to Perrin, now at the end of the book, this plot line is kind of wrapped up, and now we're, a little, I mean, not a blank slate, obviously, but it is nice to kind of have a nice, clean snipping of some of these long-winded plot lines going into the last battle trilogy, so to say, the Sander trilogy, whatever you want to call it. Is there some nickname that the fandom has given the last 3 books?
Brandology.
The Holy Trilogy.
Sandology.
Sounds like a good podcast that's focused all on Sanderson books.
Oh, is there one?
No, I'm joking because our podcast is actually named Fantology, Kaden.
Oh, sorry, guys.
He's like, where am I?
It's late, I'm going to say. I don't know.
Who is this? This is kind of a good segue into Rand's plot line. It's kind of a question, and I hope my wife is not overhearing right now because I don't want to spoil anything. So if she is, she should have been able to hear that and back out. She's in book 3 right now.
So if she's still listening at this point, it's on her.
Yeah, it's on her if she is. Yeah. She's like, I'm not listening. I think I'm trying to remember the order of things, right? Do we get Rand's POV in the book first, or is he after Matt's?
It's a lot of back and forth.
It's in the middle.
It's in the middle because I remember. Oh, go ahead.
I think we end on Matt's. Like Rand's happens, and then you finish off Matt's with the rebels.
Fighting
yeah.
But does Tuan leave Matt before Rand's main event happens?
No, that's at the end. I'm pretty sure.
I think, yeah.
Because I can't remember, but I remember feeling like there was like just enough room. Because at the end of the last book, you're like, what? How is he meeting with the Shan-Chan? And then I remembered reading this one. You're like, oh, maybe this is how. But then you realize, no, you were right to doubt it all along. Am I getting the order wrong?
I think so. I think you go to Rand, and then you finish off with her leaving after. Like I think the end of the book is kind of
after he already loses his hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, I feel, and maybe this was just me, but like in the beginning, in the prologue, you have Semirog talking with the San-Chan, right? I can't remember.
Suroth, yeah.
So it's pretty apparent from the beginning of this book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember where the obviousness of the ploy comes in.
Because she basically says, like, I took care of the rest of the Shan-Chan royal family.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's like a scene later on with the Forsaken where she's like, I'm hidden on the San-Chan and I've got this covered with Rand, kind of a thing. So like, I think you clearly see it coming. At least I felt like it was obvious.
Cool. Well, how did you feel about Rand's whole experiences in this part?
Wait, before we do the thing with Semiraj, can we talk about him taking down 100,000 Trollocs? Like, does that seem
many?
like? Yeah, it's that many.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
That just seems like the number. So many, too many. In my opinion.
Where was this again?
This is like outside that manor when Lews Therin seizes control and does
right.
Doesn't it call them like the flower rings or something like that? So,
yeah.
The death gates.
Is that where Logain is there?
Yeah. Logain's with him.
Is like, dude, you need to get some control of yourself.
Yeah. Whoa. Holy crap, man.
I feel like actually Rand had a lot of important things happen in this book, right? Because that's only the beginning. There was a lot of other stuff, but I'm very concerned about Rand now at this point. He's not making it out alive of this.
Why do you say that? Because of just the dire situation he's in, or because of something internal?
Because of Lews Therin, him going crazy. The wounds in his side, just like those are not getting any better. Semirog talking about how like, like, hey, this is not the power. This is you just like, part of being the Dragon Reborn. You're going crazy, and
that there's no cure for it.
and there's no cure. Yeah.
Although,
So-
is she telling the truth there, or is she just trying to mentally torture him?
The other thing I'd say, so going back, the other thing is Min's viewings that he has to die, right? I think Min has seen, pretty sure there was one where Min sees that he has to die. And she's like hoping she's wrong. Am I crazy on that?
There's
Man.
so many things talking about him dying.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
He's gonna die. Yeah.
Oh, she sees, I think she sees his like funeral pyre
she
or
sees,
something.
and she sees that is Olivia, something with an O, one of the
It's the Shan
is gonna
Chan
help him.
is going to help him die. That's what she sees. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then the prophecies say his blood on the rocks is Shiloh.
Cool. Yeah.
So is this a Fantology guarantee? Kaden, you haven't been a part of other episodes, but in other episodes, we've been known to make outlandish guarantees a la Charles Barkley on TNT, doing guarantees of ridiculous things to happen in the NBA. So are you guaranteeing, Fantology guarantee, that Rand al'Thor will die?
Yeah. I'll guarantee it.
Okay,
Yeah.
on the record.
Guaranteed.
It's a
Yeah.
guarantee.
You have the Kaden
Yeah.
guarantee.
Yep.
It means absolutely nothing for listeners.
Yeah. Yeah. I will happily look back though if it's different in the end at this moment. But
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so
he
you
shows
think-
up.
You
And he-
think he's
yeah.
going to die just like because of the madness and
well,
In the
I don't know if
viewings.
that madness is gonna kill him, but I just like feel like there's all this foreshadowing that he has to die
Okay.
at the end to like save the world. Right.
when I read this part, I was definitely like his mental state is just so poor. Like he is not
He wants to die at this point. Like essentially.
he's
right?
just, that whole duty is heavier than a mountain is really getting to him.
There's prophecies around, let's say like Matt, for example, that he's gonna die and live again, and he's gonna give up half the light of the world to save the world. Like these are the same types of savior and death prophecies, but you don't seem to be as convinced that Matt's gonna die.
Well,
Did Matt already die though?
yeah, he already did die and live again.
Well,
That,
and
the
come back to
prophecy
life?
says,
But I
he will
mean,
die,
but I mean
or not
back
prophecy,
then.
but
But I mean, like originally, that's another, right? That would be an example of a time where the prophecy was maybe not fulfilled the way that you would think, like not as definitive.
That's true. But if he dies and comes back or something happens, he still died. So my guarantee is still good. So I'm not guaranteeing there won't be any funny business, but there will be some sort of
All right.
death.
So same argument around Jake and Lanfear.
Yeah, I'll side with
no,
Jake on that.
there's no
Now,
funny business there. She died.
I think anytime you come back to life, there's some funny business happening.
Oh, post-death funny business.
If you know anyone who's
Wait, did
come back
she-
to life without funny business happening, I'm here to tell
Did
you
she
that's
ever
not
really
that's
die
not normal.
though, or did the
She
dark
did.
one just like pull her instantly like into someone else? Like, how do you know she really like ceased?
There's
living?
thus far in the books, there is no evidence of the Dark One taking someone's soul from their body and placing it into another without death occurring.
All right, I got nothing else on that.
Okay.
Cool.
But anyways, that's off topic.
Point, Jake.
Dark one philosophy.
Speaking of Forsaken and Rand, though, we have the linkage to Moradin somehow. What are your thoughts on that?
Maybe I missed this. Explain.
He
What-
noticed, he started to realize that, I don't know if, I think it was when he was awake even, he could see through Moradin's eyes almost, or something like that, right?
Was that after the attack from Semirog? That something was with his eyes, or is that something else?
I can't remember when it happened in this book. Honestly, I was
Is this-
looking at a summary, so I don't know
Okay,
the order.
good. Is this from when when Samael dies and there's two people with
Yes.
balefire and the balefire hits, and is
That's
that what
when it
caused
happens.
the
Yes.
link?
That's what caused the link. But yeah, now
Mhm.
he's somehow indescribably linked to him where they can kind of sense each other.
It's very much Harry Potter Voldemort.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Ghostbusters crossing beams.
Okay. Ghostbusters
No?
as well. Yeah, right. They're not
Yeah.
supposed to let
Okay.
the beams cross, something like that. I've seen it once. I guess I'm too young to really fully appreciate.
Yeah, I guess I'm too old.
So did Moradin intentionally link himself to Rand? I gotta go reread that one scene to remember how it happened.
Yeah, you should go. I don't know. It's all pretty vague right now. So,
Yeah.
um,
Never mind.
what are you gonna say?
I forgot. I had something.
All right. So he loses his
Okay.
hand.
Yeah,
He
loses
loses his hand. Yeah. That's where we're going next. That's the next thing.
That's one storyline with how hard he is, right? And he needs to get over that. That you're like, can that just hurry up and happen? It's like another fight. Like Catsway's been in his life for how many books now, right? And like that foreshadowing.
She's not really doing her job well. Huh?
Yeah, not yet. So
Well, she's got a difficult pupil, to be fair.
it does make Rand less OP now that he can. I don't know. Supposedly he can't sword fight as well as he has to relearn how to use a sword.
Yeah, he learned the Death Gates, but lost the sword fighting. But
Well,
yeah,
a little bit different leagues, but
I feel like I can't say this enough, but on a first read, Rand can be a pretty difficult POV to read through. There's just so many things can be frustrating. And not just with his choices, but just with how hard he gets, but on a reread every time, I just appreciate it so much more. I think it's so well done. This person, he doesn't want to be this way, but he's thrust in this situation and he has to fulfill this role and he doesn't know how to do it. And, like, how can I fulfill this role when feeling all these feelings? So I just need to suppress this and, not feel anything.
honestly, like just off what you just said, like I feel like Rand has done a really good job for being a sheep herder, right? And suddenly has to do this, right? So he's done well with what he's given. And obviously there's side effects to that. He can't be whole, right? It would be weird if he didn't have these issues.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is meant to be analogous. There's a lot of things in Wheel of Time that are supposed to have like similar tracks to Lord of the Rings, like Perrin and Faile is like a Smeagol type character, and etc. Moraine is kind of like Gandalf in the terms of being the wise wizard who comes in. But I feel like Rand getting darker and darker and starting from this innocent person is pretty similar to Frodo, feeling the weight of the ring and just doing their best with this dark influence in their lives. It's interesting with Rand that the influence it's like more internal, it's almost his own fault. I don't know if his own fault, but it's his own, like he's his own worst enemy right now in a sense.
I enjoy reading Rand's point of views better than Frodo's, like in Return of the King. That was really hard for me to get through. So
yeah, there's a point to Rand's POVs. I feel like to defend him. I think we were recently talking. I think it was Ben and Josh who were like, just didn't understand how Rand could be a favorite character of anybody's. But every time I read it, like each reread or like look at the series, I just feel more and more for Rand. Like just feel bad for the guy. But he's reaching some low lows in this book.
Well, so I guess we're hoping that the Sam character will be revealed.
I think that's men.
I don't think Rand needs a Sam character as much as Frodo did.
You think he can handle this himself?
Well, no, he's lots of
his
people,
current
but not
state?
just like I think Rand has to do something himself here. He's gonna have to step up somehow and make something happen, right?
You don't think someone's gonna say I don't know. I was trying to make some application to the Sam saying, but I can carry you line, but I don't know how to make it apply.
I can't carry the ring for you, but I can carry you.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I don't know. Something about him being hard and soft, and I don't know.
Uh-huh.
At this point, everyone's going to be involved in the last battle, so everyone will be there. Ren will be alone, right?
I mean,
And
hopefully at this point, like
characters.
everyone's against each other still, at least the larger nations. So hopefully they come together.
Yeah, wasn't Rand's plan to, stop the bickering of the world, get them united under the banner of the light, and then all out charge against the Dark One?
Such a simple task.
The Shan-Chan really threw a wrench into all those plans. But other than that, I think even without that, how do you think he's faring at his overall plan so far?
Not great. Take a little miracle. He has like Elayne, who's got Andor, and he's got Elayne, and
he's got Carrion, Tyr, and Ilian now. Yeah, but
so
does he really have them? I mean, he has like.
Does he have them enough though, where they're not fighting against each other, right? Which is
that's true.
I think what's necessary. So does he need to have their super loyalty? No, but enough that they know what's going on.
And that's honestly, I think, intentional on his part. He doesn't really care about establishing some new government. He's just like, okay, stop fighting. Give me your warriors. We're going to go fight.
He had there was a book where he created the school, right? There was a time when he was like, hey, I do want to leave something behind.
Yeah.
And his desperation has not come through. It shows, right? Where he's like, I'm not trying to leave something behind. I'm trying to survive.
Yeah.
Or have the world survive.
How did you like his reaction to Logain talking to him about Mazrim Time? I always felt like that was such a miss. Like, really? That's your reaction here?
Well, especially with what you find out about Mazrim Taim later in the book, right?
Yeah.
At least what I think you find out about Mazrim Taim later in the book.
At the very end.
At the very end.
What did you think you found out?
Well, he said, let the Lord of Chaos rule, right? And you're like,
where have I heard that before?
Yeah, well, that's the problem, right? And you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
So I'm wrong. We can go back through many podcasts where I said Mazrim Taim was just a greedy person who was just not connected to the Dark One. So
I think you're close. Yeah. I think he is just a greedy person and
and that has an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I guess
just as much as why does anyone serve the Dark One other than Moradin, really, who just is completely nihilistic about everything. But
I mean, still, right. Like all the Forsaken started as greedy people, or
jealousy, greed,
yeah.
Want to live a long time, want power. Yeah.
So most who serve the Dark One do. Just, I mean, wait and see on Taim. He's still got some stuff to play out there.
But I just thought it was, I mean, I guess I get Rand's point was that I got too much on my plate. I can't do anything about that right now. Here, go talk to the Shan-Chan for me. But you think he'd be like, oh, this is a big deal. I just had so many male channelers trained and they are potentially all being run by a Dark Friend now. Do
you think he wonders though, hey, well, they are, but maybe not all of them are Dark Friends. So even if I lose some of them, it's a net positive in the end if I get some to come fight for me or something. I don't know. Maybe the risk is big that they all go bad.
But I mean, I think the logical conclusion is they're either going to go bad or be killed by the people running the school. I don't know. I feel like that was a miss on Rand's part. Wasn't able to see clearly the importance of it.
He's literally not able to think clearly at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We are low on time. We still have Elayne and Egwene to talk about. So start with Elayne quickly because we can kind of we can do her part quickly. So the siege
Elayne.
the siege picks up in earnest. Things start to unravel. She gets captured. She gets saved. She wins.
It's
Yay!
easy now for
Another
her.
long plot line wrapped up, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I think this is like a very memeable part of Elayne's plotline. Just the whole idea of, hey, there was a viewing that I'm going to have twins. They're going to be healthy. So I don't really need to worry about anything because that means I'm going to be safe, right? So I thought that was kind of a fun
Oh,
it's
like
wait.
the Anakin and Padme meme format.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just I feel like it's been like she's been made fun of for that, but it's also like, is she dumb or is she secretly a genius here? I mean, I think she does reap some consequences because people around her die, you know, but for herself, you know, it worked out.
I mean, there's no guarantee that move couldn't have lost her the battle, right? Like she incurs heavy losses getting rescued.
Yeah, there were like 500 soldiers that died, right? Trying to plus the Aes Sedai that went with her.
And also, not taking into account, maybe she would have been alive, but captured by forever captured by dark friends. And then she gives birth to healthy babies that are then raised by dark friends, you know, didn't think it all through.
Definitely did not. And 500 soldiers seems like a lot when the enemy's got 100,000 Trollocs that they can just throw away. And it's no big deal.
Yeah.
I still can't get over that ridiculous amount of Trollocs. Like, are there even that many orcs spawned in Mordor? Anyway,
it's like the battle at Helm's Deep, but like a single cottage in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but there's not 100,000 at Helm's Deep, are there?
Tens of thousands.
I'm sure it says in the actual text of the books how many there were. Tolkien would have been into that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, it says in the Wheel of Time, one of the latest teasers or trailers, the Shadowspawn teaser, Moraine says millions of Trollocs and Fades. So
millions of Fades too? 1 million Fades?
Well, millions.
Yeah, okay, both together. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. It's not very clear.
Sure.
But yeah, good for Elayne finally getting Andor. I think that was part of the most exciting part of her trying to get Andor, and so also wrapped up. So that's good.
The gateway maneuver at the end was kind of clever. Give her that.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I think it was cool how she was able to use the new position she was in, being like locked outside the city, basically, to then route her enemies and take over that way, which is kind of unconventional. You think she would just win the siege, but instead she gets kicked out, and seemed like a Tavern move or Taviran move almost.
Using gateways in unique ways, death gates and traveling around to smite blows on the backsides of enemies. Like that's nice.
Yeah.
That's all we'll say on that. Okay, Egwene.
I feel like Egwene had really cool part in this book.
This is one of my favorite plot lines. Egwene captured in the tower.
Yeah.
Excellent plot line.
What do you think, Kaden?
I like it so far. I feel like it shows her becoming more of an Amyrlin. Like, I can't remember this might be a extremely minor spoiler for something that happens in book 12, but like there's a part where Suan in the dream is like, oh yeah, your like captivity has made you like look and behave even more like an Amyrlin, right? Like I feel like she's really grown into where before like she's had really good growth, I feel like, through the other books, but like this even just adds a ton to her character growth. I like it. I feel I like how she's in control and really like I feel like she's completely in control and knows what's going on here, which I like.
It's cool how everything that she's gone through so far has like culminated in her being perfect for this experience here. Like the captivity with the Shan-Chan, the training with the wise woman or wise ones, and then training with Swan even. Yeah, I just love the fact that they're like, we're gonna have accepted teach you because you're a novice, and then they're like, wait, we can't have you do that because you're too disruptive. And then she starts sowing dissension amongst the Aes Sedai because the tower is still so, fractured there. I don't know. I think it's so cool to see all these. We've seen a little bit of those factions within the tower that supported Elaita's rise, but didn't necessarily like her. And now you're seeing how that's playing out with Egwene.
Well, like in this book, you see how bad an Amerlin Elaita is.
Yeah,
Like, it's
right.
not just that she's some rival who is a good Amerlin, but happened to oppose, Egwene, but like she is not a good Amerlin at all, right? Like everything's falling apart.
yeah. I feel like her character kind of got nerfed. Like she started just
Yeah.
being stern and kind of spiteful, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, you're like an Umbridge character, which you weren't really in the beginning. My headcanon is maybe that what is it? What's her name? The keeper, Olivia.
Alviarin is like
Alviarin.
has her under compulsion or something.
Yeah, maybe she's doing something. I don't know. I feel like the character just kind of got nerfed a little bit, but
That's fair. I could see that. Robert Jordan's got a lot of characters to juggle. Yeah.
If we're going to move on from Egwene, I think the next thing kind of connected is, I like the different factions you see from the tower still working, even though it's in such a dire situation. We see the Red Aja meet up with people of the Black Tower and want to bond Ashaman. I think it's so cool. Like both towers are in such disarray and terrible places, but then you have these like people not completely oblivious to it, but seemingly, like just doing their own thing, like nothing's wrong, like nothing's bad back at home, basically.
What could go wrong? What could go wrong next? Egwene's had her vision, right? She's trying to
Her
warn
dream?
people. Her dream,
About
yeah.
the Sunshane?
Yeah.
Is that this book?
And no one is. Yes, that is this book. I think everyone kind of knows about, like, Elaita mentions it or something, but everyone's like, no, that's not. Like, Sean are way far away. That's not what's going to happen here.
Doesn't Elaita be like, well, she can dream, but I can foretell, so I haven't seen anything happening.
Well, I don't even think Elaita's like, she's not a dreamer. That's, she just like dismisses
right,
it,
yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
she's just making stuff up to.
Yeah, which honestly is probably a good move for her. Like, she can't let people believe this.
Mhm.
She shouldn't have kept Egwene alive. Like, she should have just kind of done away with her.
Yeah, I
all
think
those viewings. Sorry, go back. Jake, go ahead, Jake.
I was just gonna say, I feel like it's like, how do you deal with a political opponent? If you just do away with them, that can kind of be a sign of weakness, that you're afraid of them. Whereas I think she thinks, oh, I'll just make her a novice, and then she'll be like ignored and put in her place. But what were you saying about the viewings?
Back in like book 2, Min has all those viewings of like a battle at the tower, but also like of a bunch of Aes Sedai with collars around their necks, right? I'm pretty sure at some point.
She walks around and sees how a bunch of different Aes Sedai are going to die and be captured and stuff.
Yeah. So like, and I know some of that, like when Swan is deposed, like there's some people that die, but that doesn't explain the collars either, right? So something's coming.
Yeah.
Okay, it is time to do our top and bottom 3. This is always an entertaining part of the Wheel of Time episodes, as we try to come up with interesting ways to argue for characters performing poorly or well in just this book only. So, top 3, bottom 3, only in Knife of Dreams. Are we starting with the top? Who wants to go first? We'll do top 3. We'll go around and do top 3 for everyone.
I'll do top 3 first this time.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say Egwene. Awesome job on her part. She really shines in her role. Totally flips, like kind of subverts everyone's expectations with what she's going there. And you can tell even the Aes Sedai who are supposed to be like teaching her and chastising her are like, man, you got some really good points. But you're just a novice, and then I would say Matt, I think it was all cool. Like his relationship with Tuan worked out really well, getting back together with the band, good setup for what's to come next for him. He's got his new quest, with the letter, and then making the dragons. But number one has got to be, we didn't even mention him yet, but Loyal. Loyal gets married. He's been talking about this girl since book 2. She has really nice ears.
Oh yeah, it's all about the ears.
The classic Jake comment. Putting Loyal in the top 3.
He just, we're talking about everyone's plot lines wrapping up. I feel like this is another plot line that we've been anxiously waiting on, and it has resolved here.
And then he calls the Entmoots, and the Ents are going to war, right?
The Ents are going to war.
Talk about similarities.
Yeah.
Caden.
Right, Steve, you want me to go?
Yeah, I want you to go because I don't know who I'm taking.
Yeah, same actually. I'll throw. Let's see. Look at my list here. I usually come prepared. I'd put in Perrin in this one because he finally achieves his goal of getting Faile back, and his plan works great. And I feel like Perrin's not had a lot of wins in the last couple books, so
yeah, he does need a win.
So I put Perrin at number 3. Jake, did you have something you wanted to add to your list?
I just realized we didn't talk about, I was looking at my notes, we didn't talk about Galad at all and his duel with the White Cloaks.
Well, maybe he will appear in a top 3.
Maybe he will. I'll say that.
I'll leave it for Steven. Although, I'll come back. I like Brigitta for 2 because her whole job is protecting Elayne, and she does that really well. When she's captured, she jumps in, saves her, and gets the. And I think her big moment is when she gets the sea folk to jump in and channel and help save her, which the sea folk are hard to get to do anything. So I'll throw her in my top 2 because we haven't mentioned her either. And Brigitta has a sad time in a lot of the books too, so she needs a win too.
Turns out the top one, they are really excuses for us to wrap up any loose ends that we haven't covered yet in the podcast.
All right, well, I'm going with Matt for number 1 because I love Matt. I love the Red Band, and they kick butt getting out of is Ebudar or whatever the country is that they're running from.
Funny story with Matt. Oh,
no.
Okay. Funny story with Matt. My wife saw a meme that mentioned him being the Prince of Ravens, and she was like, "Oh no, he's gonna be a dark friend, huh?" And she hates him right now, which is so funny because she's like, "Why am I even reading him? He's just gonna be a dark friend later."
You're just letting her believe it.
I can't say anything.
He has the dagger right now, right? He could totally go back.
No,
right?
he just lost the dagger. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my top 3. Probably not.
Would have been an interesting twist if one of them actually did. If Matt actually did become a dark friend. Or will he?
Robert Jordan
the
style.
Series isn't over
No,
yet.
that's not Robert Jordan style.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. That would totally betray the trust of the author to do that at this juncture.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go number 3. I'll do Galad because we haven't mentioned him, and because I'm wearing white, and because we got a first kind of real look at the White Cloaks in that same video that I mentioned earlier, where we got our first look at Tom. Was that our first look? Maybe that wasn't our first look at the White Cloaks. It seemed to be like the best look we've had so far.
I think it was the first video look of them.
Okay, that's what I want to say. Galad's finally found a purpose. The dude was really hot, but he didn't really know what he was doing for a while. And so he's finally now found something to do. He's going to be Lord Captain Commander, so good for him.
I really love his plotline.
I guess Gowan is still trying to find something to do. Poor guy.
Gowan.
Yeah.
He's having a rough go of things.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah, tough. We're terrible. I mean, we feel terribly about Gowan. Okay, number 2. You guys took there were a lot of characters who did well. I don't think I can do Egwene yet because she gets started, but she's still kind of like in the middle of whatever she's trying to do. So we'll see how she does. We'll go Elayne just because she always gets derided in our top 3 and bottom 3, and she does have a win. It wasn't perfect, but she did well. And I'll throw Perrin on as well. Same reason. I guess I'm just kind of throwing some pity points to some characters who need it in my top 3. All right, bottom. Jake, start us off.
Bottom 3, I'm going to start with Rand.
Yeah.
Not a good book for him. Bamboozled by Simraj, loses a hand, finds out he's just crazy. It's not going well for him. Loses control. Then I would go. I'm having a hard time finding a third on here. Oh no, I got him. I'll go Aram.
Just because he dies. He dies, so he's in the bottom.
It's like, it's just kind of pathetic, like what his whole storyline, just like, I don't know, he's just so easily defeated, like he's not even really a threat, right? And it's just pointless too. And then number 1 would be Elida for all the reasons we've mentioned. Not keeping it together, potentially influenced externally, and that's why, I know there was a point where Alviarin was like, you're going to implement all these things that I'm going to tell you to do, which I think was to cause chaos and more factions in the tower. But also a lot of it, I think, is just herself. Anyways, Elida, terrible, done.
That's a good
my bottom 3. I want to go a little step further on Jake's number 3 and go Massima actually as my number 3. Because I think even higher, his whole storyline is really pathetic, and all his followers get pretty much wiped out, and he doesn't even kill Perrin, which is like his one goal, it feels like, in Sema. Number 2, Galena. I think I've already said, but she just, things do not work out for her. And I like it a lot, but she did too good. And then number 1, like maybe I'm all on the same thing here, but Savannah also, like.
So the Perrin loser plot line.
Do I need to pick another one? Let's see. Do I go to maybe I should put Galena and Savannah in one together, and the dark friends that get captured after they kidnap Egwene will be my number. Maybe they're not actually my number 1, but they're in my bottom 3. Or they didn't make it very far, and there's like 6 of them, so
they're all there somewhere.
Yeah. So poor showing though, like they've been just lurking around and like didn't get very far at all.
Yeah, really hope the show does a better job of hyping up some of these seemingly bumbling villains.
I'll go, Rand. Rand certainly makes it in. Maybe Rand / Cadsuane. Although Cadsuane she is the reason why Rand survives this whole thing, because she's able to make the Simrage's like disguise shimmer flicker long enough for Rand to realize that she's actually,
because of her hair stuff.
She's also like keeping Rand in line when he's gonna say and do stupid stuff. She's like smacking him around and at least keeping him from completely.
So she's preventing complete disaster. Okay.
Yeah. Is she doing great? No. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a C, maybe a D.
Yeah.
Rand's an F, and so he goes to the bottom 3, of course. There weren't honestly, a lot of characters did really well in this book, so the bottom 3 is difficult. And you guys already took the obscure ones. Maybe I'm gonna throw the 100,000 Trollocs into the bottom 3. Like each one individually goes in the bottom 3. Like 100, I still just cannot. This number boggles my mind. Like 100,000 all dead. That's like more than most football stadiums can fit in, and they're all going after a single guy, and they cannot get the job done. Like, Yeah, I'm having a hard time understanding that. Maybe the number was inflated somehow. Anyway, that's my bottom three: 100,000 Trollocs and Rand.
That adds up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 100,001 in the bottom three. All right. That's a wrap for our Knife of Dreams review. Kaden is hard at work reading The Gathering Storm. The Gathering Storm. And Jake is hard at work growing his Matthew Mercer look for Halloween. Watch on YouTube if you want to see what he looks like. And if you watch on YouTube, leave us a comment, because if you do, you will be entered into our drawing for winners in our 1,000 subs on YouTube giveaway, because we did in fact get to 1,000 subs on YouTube, which is very exciting. Something that we've been doing trying to get to for our 2-year existence. So 2 years, 1,000, really, it's a really nice trajectory towards quitting our jobs and being YouTubers. So check all of those things out. All right, I'll stop making fun of Phantology. Pick out Sandersonology for Caden's takes on Sanderson books. Or Brandology. I like Brandology better.
Is it Brandology? I was trying to go for like trilogy and
Brandology.
Is it Brandology is what I was probably trying to say.
No, Brando, because people call him Brando Sando. So you go Brandology. All right.
Someone's gonna have to come up
next
with a hard
time.
name.
Let us know in your comment. Let us know in your comment what the name of Caden's podcast should be. And we'll see you next time. We got to stop now.